Tammy, basically tell me, what is the problem that you're dealing with now? If you can, just kind of put it in a nutshell for me.
Politics, you mean?
Or just, you know, they're trying to shut you down. What's the complaint?
The complaint is from doctors, and I think that pretty much says it. It's not my client base that's worried about it. I tell everybody that ever comes to me, this is not chiropractic, this is not osteopathy, this is not medicine. This is what it is. I explain it to them in terms that they can understand. I have this bones over here and the skull. Don't have it pulled out, but it's in here. I have a real bone. I explain it to them. I give them the opportunity to understand it for themselves. If they have reservations or concerns, they're free to walk out the door. You know, I'm not going to twist their arm. If I have reservations or concerns that I might hurt them, I make it aware to them. You know, I tell them about it. They sign a release form, you know, risk/opportunity. It's what we live with every single day. And I leave it up to them. And, you know, like I said, my client base doesn't care.
If it's not chiropractic, then how do you describe it to people? What I call it?
My title is a nerve signal interference specialist. The field itself is called nerve signal interference removal. My grandfather, Dr. Creighton, had a pamphlet that he advertised in a chiropractic journal. I think it was in the 80s. It was a little segment. I think he was asking for $3, and I do have that pamphlet here. And at the beginning of it, it says, "Learn how to become an NSI specialist." And I think that nerve signal interference was like NSI, and a nerve signal interference specialist. He wanted the chiropractors to basically come up to speed, I guess you could say. He wanted to educate them, because he could do things that they could not, and they knew it. They gave him the Texas Chiropractic College's Centennial Award, 1995, the big, you know, big shebang. They never did it, I guess you could say.
This field, how popular is this? Are you among the few, or how many people are?
I'm one. I am the only one that's credentialed. I have been on a hunt for other people that, because I do know he taught a lot of doctors. In 1976, I think it was the Texas Chiropractic Association. He was like the main speaker. And I have a document that goes all the way back to 1954, Mom had in her file. And the testimony at that point in time was, we're going to forego all the formalities just to be able to have the opportunity to listen to this man. He's so important. He's so well educated. We want every bit of his time. So back to 1954, they documented his importance. 1976, he's the speaker, I think, again, it's the Texas Chiropractic Association. He was on the podium. I have pictures of that.
In Houston.
In Houston. He was in Houston. And he taught doctors. So I went looking for them, and I did find a small group down in Texas and then one down in Louisiana that claimed to do what they call the Creighton method. Now, Grandpa told me that nobody actually kept in contact with him, so he never could actually back any of them. Although he made the effort to show them and did show them, they weren't keeping in contact with him. They weren't keeping up to speed. And he kept telling me, he said, the research is moving forward. They're missing out because I'm learning more. I'm not having an opportunity to know what I know now because they're not checking in. And he was very concerned about that.
Now, if you're the only one in this field, is this something that you've kind of, I guess, created on your own in an area that you can stand on, or how?
Grandpa defined it, I guess you could say. And then, of course, my initial hope was to be able to work with the chiropractors. In fact, Grandpa sent me out there, Tammy, go find a chiropractor. I need somebody to carry this ball. And I went out there in 1991 when I worked on Tom Smith. I was there for the purpose of getting him into Grandpa to have Grandpa teach him. I went to Dr. Frank Camshutter. Same thing. Instead of him coming to learn the work from my grandfather, he's wanting me to work on him. And I did it. I went over to Tulsa June 21st, 2000, same thing. I need somebody to learn the work. Again, I'm there to work on them. Now, I will say, Kent Bartell is his name over in Tulsa. He did allow for a small study, I guess you could say. 6 of his problem cases, the ones he could not affect, came in. I saw every single one of them. It was wonderful. They all lined up for me that day. I don't generally have that. And I was the specialist. The doctor was assisting me. He watched me for 2.5 hours. I worked on him, his wife, and the receptionist. And they all had their heads out of place, and they all had their pelvis out of place, just like you saw me fix. And I have no idea what he's doing with it. I didn't make him sign a document. I guess you could sound very naive and foolish even sometimes, because I hope so much and I'm willing to lay so much on the line.
Now, did you learn a lot of what you know from your grandfather? Tell me about
everything
him.
I know, I learned from him, as far as this is concerned. And I spent 12 years to receive my accreditation. Well, I guess you could say I don't even know if you call it accreditation, except for that there's no... If there was a college that taught this, it would be Creighton. he did give me my credentials, which is basically a signed document. I told the liaison of the Board of Chiropractic Examiners back in 2001, November 8th, I said, I realize he's my grandfather, I realize I'm his granddaughter. They can argue, the chiropractors can argue that he just handed it to her. You know, she didn't have to earn it, she didn't have to be credentialed, she didn't have to know it, he just handed it to her. I said if that was the case, there'd be 8 of us because there's 8 grandkids. I said even my licensed osteopathic cousin does not have this. He could have. He didn't. Grandpa said he was going to have to ask for it. He didn't. I said, I'm the representative of my grandfather's, Dr. Creighton's, life's work. You just have to know the man to know what he would do. And he's not just going to hand this over to somebody who's not going to know what they're doing. It took me 12 years for him to hand it to me.
So why did you never go to chiropractic school?
Because they don't know what they're doing. As Grandpa would say, it's, how would he put that? Their entire profession, their entire field, all of their methods, all of their philosophy is based on a lie. The entire thing. That's not my words. That's not from my mouth. That's not from my mind. That's from him. And the reason why that is true is because the entire profession is based on what they call a vertical subluxation. A subluxation is a partial dislocation, and you can look in the chiropractic literature. You can say, you know, they don't even know what it is. One person says that it exists, one person says it doesn't. One person says it's this, one person says it's that. Well, they call it a complex, you know. He said it is a compensation. Yeah, there's a twist and a curve in the spine. It's a compensation, but there's a reason for it to compensate. The chiropractors are dealing with the spinal column. I don't deal with the spinal column. I don't manipulate the spine. I position the head on top accurately. I position the pelvis underneath accurately. When you get those joints to where they work right, the stress naturally comes off of the column and the body will reverse the compensating condition on its own.